always wondered why the hippo is not classified as one of the big five as far as game is concerned. We all know that it's one of the most dangerous animals in Africa, and behind me is the very famous hippo hide, part of the Togo Sun group, and of course this is Sabi River Bungalows, which proves that you don't always have to be in Cape Town in the week preceding the Cape Met, which is run for the very first time this year without a sponsor, having had J&B for 3 decades and of course Sun International for the past. But in the meantime, it tells you that the price of survival has changed, and we know we live in some very treacherous times. We lost a very special man in Brett Mizell this week. We lost Larry King yesterday, one of America's greatest talk show hosts. But the most important thing is that we are here, courtesy of GG Gaming, to cover this week's Cape Met. And during the course of the week, we're going to speak to almost every single trainer that has runners on Saturday in the big feature races. We're going to start off with former champion trainer Justin Snaith, who of course has got Bulgarian, Do It Again, and African Night Sky, who spearhead their very big day. They've also got Casimir, Eric the Red, and a horse called Rio Carrari, who will be running in the Cape Flying Championship. And then they've got the favourite in the Majorca Stakes, who of course is Captain's Ransom, and she will be backed up by a filly called Silvano's Pride, who didn't get the run of the race in the Paddock Stakes. So that's Justin Snaith. We've also got the very talented Candice Bass Robinson, who's got Sovereign Spirit running in the Cape Met. He is one of the outsiders, but he's got legitimate claims if you look at her explanation for a rather lackluster performance in the Queen's Plate in a very slow run race. She's also got the exceptionally talented Clouds Unfold and Chaching, who will take their place in the lineup in the Majorca Stakes. And then she's got Russet Air, who will be running in the Cape Flying Championship, who put up such a brave performance behind Casimir on Lormeran's Queen's Plate Day. Later on during the course of the week, we're going to speak to Sean Tarry, we're going to speak to Mike de Kock, we're going to speak to Greg Indian, Dean Canamayer, we're going to speak to Eric Sands, and we're also going to speak to Brett Crawford. It really is a star-studded day of racing on Saturday, the 30th of January, the showpiece of the South African horse racing calendar, certainly as far as weight for age 2,000 metre contests. So with a heavy heart, we pay tribute to Brett Mizell, to Larry King, and to all those who have lost their lives to COVID. Stay safe, be careful, and enjoy this GG Gaming production of the runners on Saturday, January the 30th.
His last start was obviously in the Queen's Plate. Miles obviously not his best trip, and they didn't really go. The pace wasn't that hot. He's the type of horse that likes to have a good pace. He ran on quite nicely to a point, but I think it just ended up being a little bit too strong, and also, with the pace not being on, it didn't quite work out for him. He's taken that run pretty well. I think this is the kind of trip that he's looking for. He's obviously going to be way down in the betting, and he probably deserves to be there, I would think, just looking at the field, generally speaking. But he has got ability, and on his day, he certainly is the kind of horse that can produce, or the type of horse that could surprise and finish in the money. Obviously, I'm hopeful, and as I said, I've got him in good shape. He's drawn well, and I think looking at the race again, there doesn't seem to be a lot of pace. So hopefully, it's not going to be too slow, and if there is a bit of pace over the 2,000, one could expect anything from him. But obviously, it's a tough race, and I'm being hopeful. Well, obviously he won this race last year. He's had I wouldn't say a strange sort of prep this year, but the races for him didn't quite work out like they did last year. Last year he had a perfect prep going through all these races. This year it's been a little bit stop and start. And he had a hard season last year, having to go to Joburg and then Durban and then back to Cape Town again. And I don't know if that maybe just didn't take its toll on him a little bit. He hasn't quite been at his devastating best that he was last year. I think the 1,000 meters is his best trip, and I think he definitely should be in with a shout on Saturday. But in saying that, I think it's probably one of the strongest Cape Flying Championships I've seen in a long while. It's a very strong field. It's a big field of horses, and I think just even finishing in the first 3 there, you need to be pretty good, and I think you need to be at your best. So yeah, I've got him in good shape, and there was a good run from him last time against Casimir over the 12. Casimir is a very hard horse to beat over 1,200, but I think back over 1,000. He must be included. Chance Unfold obviously having her third start in the Majorca, where she's trying to go for 3 in a row now. She's been a great filly, and especially over the mile, I think that's probably her best trip. She's had a slightly different prep this year. Last year we went for the Scepter Stakes and then onto the Majorca, and this year we opted to go for the Paddock Stakes, where she ran a credible second. I think, obviously a distance that we hadn't tried her over before. So yeah, she took that run very well, and I think it's not really a problem for me to bring her back to the mile. She's drawn a little bit wide. Ended up being too badly. I think she's drawn 10. So yeah, obviously she's here to defend her crown. Justin's filly obviously looks hard to beat. She's improving all the time, and she did beat us by shortest of short heads in the Dyna Stakes, and she was getting a lot of weight from us, and this time around obviously not. It's a different story with the weights, but I think she has improved as she's gone along. So yeah, she looks the obvious filly to beat. And then I've got Cha-Ching as well, who also ran in the Paddock Stakes. A good run from her too, from a bad draw last time. Grant had to drop her in, and she had quite a bit of ground to make up. I was actually umming and ahhing about whether or not I was going to run her, and Grant felt that I should definitely run her. He said, on that last run from a bad draw, he feels that she's definitely in with a shout. And she looks outstanding after that run. She really, really looks well. And so I'm taking my chances with her. She's drawn pretty well this time, and obviously I think the mile will be fine for her. She will be a filly that wants more ground later on, but she's in very good shape, and I certainly wouldn't discount her. She could be a surprise in that field.
Yeah, so the jockeys have chosen their horses. So Grant wanted to ride Rio Kawari. He says he won so easily last time that he thought Kazuma wouldn't be able to overturn the result over 5 furlongs. So, which I thought was quite interesting. So it obviously makes Rio Kawari for a big runner. Kazuma is doing really well at home. We are a little bit concerned of the 14 draw up the straight. But in saying that, if the wind turns, and it normally does on Met Day, and is a howling southeaster, the 14 draw becomes the best draw on the card. So we're waiting to see what the wind direction will be on the day, and then plan accordingly. Eric the Red's doing very well. We've pinned this race a long time ago. We think he's probably our best chance in the race over 5 furlongs. He's doing well. We expect a big run. Richard's quite confident. We will need a little bit of luck in running because it's quite a competitive race. Celtic Sea's no slouch. I think she's a little bit better over 6 furlongs as well. I think 1,000 may be on a little bit of the short side, but she doesn't like to lose. So she's obviously a filly that we would take very seriously when doing our tactics. What you must know is that the NHRA, when V. Moodley decided that the handicapping would change, that it used to be the first 5 horses across the line would be handicapped, and then the rest of the horses were left alone. Unfortunately, that's changed. The entire field will be handicapped. And remembering that owners are paying, 30,000 Rand to be in this race, if you don't run in the first 5 and you run 6 or 7, you carry all the penalties. So that could be that horse's last ever win. So we decided all those horses that are below 120, we took out of the race. This is a strategic decision made because those are horses that can compete in races in the Natal season, which is sad because you end up with a small field. I don't mind that because it means that there's an 11 horse field. I drew 11 out of 11 with Bulgarian, who's the favorite. Had we put in all those other horses, we could have been drawn 16, 17, and you're taking that horse's chance, the favorite, of winning. With this amount of horses in the race, much better draws are going to be immaterial in my mind. He is doing really well at home, Bulgarian. We are looking for a pacemaker, something that can at least keep the pace honest. There is a chance in this year's Met that someone can go to the front and steal it. So we'll be watching out for that, and the decision will be made on our tactics. Do it again, really in a good space. You just have to watch the Lamont Queen's Plate. Couldn't get a run at the right time, and he got slow at the start, slow run race. Everything just went against him. And he finished off the race beautifully. So expect a good run from him. He's right there on form. He's never far back. The Met run just flattened him. We're very careful. The Lamont Queen's Plate is a step into the Met. So we expect a big run from him, obviously. His demeanor's good. Everything is spot on. When he's at his best, he beats those horses always. I think he'll give them certainly a run for their money. I never thought he wouldn't train on at 5. He always had that look about him. So we expect a big run. Anton's quite bullish that he's going to be in the firing line. So on that, you've got to be confident. African Night Sky would have won last time. I don't care what anybody says. The staff can say what the clever race riding. It happens to me. It happens to the next guy. It's what happens. He got bulked on the rail as he was coming through to win, and then had to switch out, and he still came back at them on the line. And in doing that, we thought he deserved the opportunity at Golden Ducat again. Kennedy was quite boisterous across the finish line in the race. We'll see how boisterous he is in the Met. So we're giving African Night Sky a go at Golden Ducat. That's the only reason why he's in the race. And let's see. It'll be fun to watch how it unfolds. And for Robert Cartier, does all the work at home. He knows this horse well. He's got a lot of confidence in the horse, and that's why he retained the run. If you remember, there was a small period where horses had to go into the quarantine stage before coming to Cape Town, which, guys, is a load of nonsense. It was shocking. We had the best horses in South Africa stuck in the middle on the N1 somewhere for over a month. Thank goodness we will never do that again. And he arrived in Cape Town with an injury, and it's taken a long time to get to where he is now. So, it's just all the care that he's had since that time to now that we're seeing him back on the racetrack. And, all kudos also to Mike Stewart. He went there to that Atlantic Sea for 3 months, and it's the most incredible healing thing for a horse. Obviously, Clouds and Fold is a classy filly. I'm in the hope that Clouds and Folds had a hard season. She started, I think, her first run in Durbanville, and otherwise I would be very worried about her because she is such a class filly. We're obviously a little bit worse off at the weights, but not that much. I do think Captain's Ransom is a progressive filly. She's doing really well. Everything seems to be in her favour as well. She's got a nice draw. Her gallop was phenomenal. I'm very happy. We expect a good run. Savannah's Pride in the race was very unlucky in her last outing. She had absolutely no chance. They put a pacemaker in for Summer Pudding. She fought the pacemaker the whole way. Here it'll be a lot more easier for her, and maybe a filly for the quartets and trifectas.